Okay, good evening, everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular monthly business meeting of the Waseca School Board. It's Thursday, the 20th of November, 2025. And even though we have no clock, it's 5:30 p.m. And we're in the Central Building, second floor conference room. And we'll begin with the pledge. Oh, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'd like to welcome all the high school students here tonight. Thanks for coming. Say hello to Mr. Hanson. Motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the agenda. As is, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Don't think we have any visitors other than the high school students.
I think I would just mention, Mr. Chair, that she went down to get some agendas for you guys. So if you need an agenda before you leave, we'll have some on the table for you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Moving on, payment of claims. I looked through the claims again this month, and I would make a motion that we approved the September dental accounts payable of $25,407.62, and then the October accounts payable of $2,087,895.78, and the October payroll of $973,586.53.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve payment of claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Motion for consent agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving right along to our information items. Dr. Hudspeth.
Well, good evening. As we head into kind of the center part of our school year here and begin getting updates from our departments and our school buildings and hearing about the things that are happening with our students and staff throughout the district, I'm excited to welcome Jeffrey Wagner here with us this evening, our Director of Special Education, and he's going to give an update on some of the things that are happening with his department. Jeff.
Good. Hi. Hello. Nice to see everyone. I just wanted to start out. So this year we are pretty much fully staffed. In all our departments, all our areas. Maybe a little bit short in a couple areas, but as we all know, it's tough at times to find staff. At times, specifically during the school year, but we continue to look at that and how we can support, our learners and support our staff for sure. I think when it comes to teachers, our goal right now is to retain the quality teachers that we have, and then we need, and if we need to replace them, we want to be a district where people want to come. And in the case that we do need to fill a position, and I think that we've really done a really great job of that here. Within the last couple years, we have had very little turnover with our staff, which, as we know, with that consistency with our special education students and all students, just that consistency makes such a huge difference for them. So we've been really lucky that way, and I think it's just us continuing to support them in this district and giving them the things that they need to do well, and then for the students to ultimately do well. And I'm really happy about that. So our turnover is very minimal here in this district, which says a lot, because as we know, turnover in other districts can be quite overwhelming at times. Our district, our needs in the district have increased, which I don't know if it's really any different than any other areas across the state or across the nation, let's be honest. But staff are doing a great job of servicing and accommodating those increased needs. We continue to work with Southwest Metro for our setting 4 needs. Obviously, we don't house our setting 4 here in Waseca, but we look to Southwest Metro for that, and that relationship has been very good. It's been really well, and I appreciate what they do and how they support us through that. I think That being said, we really are targeting our early interventions, which we know is pivotal for student success. And at times adding staff or that type of thing is not necessarily the answer. So we really worked hard to say, what are we gonna target here that we could make a difference? And those early interventions, so really looking at our early childhood. And so what we've done in early childhood is we've added a Thursday afternoon class. We've also done we've added another Friday morning class as well. Thanks to Dr. Hudspeth and the crew here at Central, Jeff Jensen and Jim Hill, we've been able to take a look at, we have a new sensory space, which is obviously pivotal in their success. So we have a brand new space with new carpet and painted walls, and it looks really awesome. And they've really enjoyed that. And we have a specific space now for that team there. Jessica Branham and that staff are just, I can't say enough about them. They have an important job, probably as important as any job in this district as far as it goes. And they are looking to always evolve, always looking to do better. And I think that we have a really great staff there. I think we're always taking a look at different curriculums to best meet the needs of our learners. As we know, there's a sea of curriculums out there, right? And I think that how do we support our SPED teachers with that is important, because that can be, when we talk about closing that gap between our learners, and really targeting those students and giving them specifically what they need, but also giving their staff the tools to support that is essential. And so we're always looking at that. And Brooke, does an incredible job. Can't say enough about her and what she does. And so we research based on factors like academic focus, flexibility, and a student's specific learning goals and interests. So curriculum is a tricky thing at times because it's so important to look at all learners and those diverse needs. But we're constantly trying to look at that and how we can better that. We're putting an emphasis on creating a uniform evaluation system that all buildings can use, so that we can target, so that we share students at times, right? Or not share students, but we have a lot of movement between the 4 districts that we work together. We work together with all the districts surrounding us. And so the teams have all come up with a uniform evaluation, an IEP, to at least have something that if our kiddos transfer from district to district, that we have a very similar process. And that's helped out. And it's something that's made things more efficient. We're also looking at our due process and just our not paperwork, but that's part of it obviously, but that due process, our IEP writing, our evaluations, and just making sure that we're always doing what's best for students and really targeting their individual needs. We updated our PAYS Lab for the first time in 10 years, which is our work-based learning program, which is highly attended with a waiting list for the first time that I am aware of. So for the first time ever, the PAYS Lab actually has a waiting list. So we've had to create what that waiting list looks like, and then how we, fill positions when they become open, but typically they don't become open because kids really like attending that work-based learning. And so I want to make sure I gave a shout out to Lori Morrissey and Julie Sass. They are basically in charge of that room. Lori has a lot of years experience in there. Julie joined her last year, and I just can't say enough about them. They are up there. They're working hard with those students. They transport those students from high school to here. They're responsible for a lot, and they should be recognized for that. And then honestly, really, the last thing I really wanted to say is I just think I want everybody to know that I think we really have a very solid staff, one of the best staffs I've really ever been around. I appreciate the work that they do. If we talk about doing new things, or we talk about evolving as a staff, they are typically very much in favor of doing that. And so I appreciate that, not having to have to really work through that. From our case managers to social workers to our coordinators, to other service providers like our speech language pathologists, our occupational therapists, physical therapists, our adaptive phy-ed, our office professionals who keep me, in line every day, and then our paraprofessionals. I just can't say enough good things about them and the staff that we have here. So, yeah.
Any questions for Jeff?
Yeah.
How many students do we have in some sort of special education?
So in some form of special education, we are in I would say the 600 ranges, something like that, 5 to 6, yeah, somewhere in that range. overall, between all the 4 districts, I know that you don't necessarily probably care, but around that, we have around 900. But our office does manage that, right? We support with setting 3 needs, and we do a lot. So I would say in that range, we have about 900 total in all the 4.
So special ed is a pretty big umbrella then, isn't it? It covers a lot of.
Yeah, it could be everything from a student who just goes for speech a couple times a week to get some support with that, to a student who needs all the therapeutic supports that Setting Forward could provide.
So that's like a third of our students. Is that?
I think it's about 23-ish%
Yeah,
total.
21% or so. Sorry, I was a little high. Yeah, about 21%. 21%.
So you're saying 600 just in the Waseca School District?
It's probably not quite that much. I would say, like we're saying, we're at about 21%
Okay. Okay.
of the, yeah.
So about 1 out of every 5 students or so?
Yes.
Roughly?
Roughly, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
When kids have individual goals and IEPs, how do you create this uniform eval system to like effectively evaluate them? If they each have different goals, what does that look like?
Absolutely, it's a great question. I think that the evaluations are important because when I say kind of a uniform standard evaluation, what we've done is try to pick out essentially a format that we think that will work the best for really all of us or everybody in the 4 districts. But really what we do is we have to individualize those IEPs. And so those evaluations are so important because they give us so much, information that we can then take and create our IEPs with. And so that individualized piece is really right, because that's essentially what it is individualized. And so we'll take the needs that derive from those evaluations. And Christy Hotmeyer, I should have made sure I mentioned her, but our school psychologist obviously plays a huge role in that. And that's Christy, and she's really in charge of the whole district as far as that piece goes. And she does a really great job with those evals. And she's a critical piece of that with our special ed coordinators. And then what they do is they'll send out an eval plan, and they'll collect all that data, whether it would be testing, cognitive testing, academic testing, rating scales, whatever it may be. They'll take all that information in, and then they'll create the eval from there with the needs that derive from it, and then we'll create the IEPs from that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think what's uniform would be like the forms and the process.
Oh yes, sorry.
Okay.
And that, although that probably should go without saying, that districts all use the same forms and process for evaluation, they don't. And so now we've created that in our small region, that we're all using the same forms and process for evaluation. So then that gets to the individualized goals. So you can't uniform or norm the goals and what actually doing with the students, but the process can be uniform. Yeah.
So are a lot of the students able to graduate on time?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes. Yep. Absolutely. Great question. Yeah. I mean, we obviously have students that will go on from 18, we have there'll be 18 to 22-year-old program that students would do that potentially, so they haven't technically graduated, but they will graduate. But they extend out past that period because they just need, additional, those work-based learning or just living skills, whatever it might be. So, and we have some of that obviously within the district, but since some kiddos go to the transition program with Southwest Metro, but like Luann Ross has a really, really great program that has 18 to 22-year-old transition kiddos as well.
How many kids do we have in that 18 to 22-year-old program about?
I would say between Lou Ann's room and the transition program, between 10 and 12 probably.
Okay, and is that from all 4 schools or just Waseca?
That's just Waseca.
Just Waseca.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions for Jeff? Thanks for coming.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for what you do.
Jeff's done a great job leading our district, and he mentioned staff turnover, and he mentioned some of the services we provide for students. His leadership has been a big piece of that. So, thank you for the work you do.
Oh, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Okay.
All right.
So we'll move on then to the superintendent report this evening, and in true fashion, I've got a nice PowerPoint for you, but it'll be quick. It's only a few slides. I'm gonna pull that up there, Amy. But I want to hit this the strategic plan areas we've got going on. It's a busy time of the year, and as you read in the update this week and last week, we have a lot. You can go to the first slide, Amy. We have a lot happening right now. So in our first strategic priority area, learning for all, our first trimester is concluding next Tuesday. Then there's a grading day on Wednesday. So going into the Thanksgiving break, our first trimester is complete. Getting that first milestone getting done for our school year, which, if you can believe it, that we're already a third of the way through the student days. It's hard to believe. As we mentioned before, we're piloting some math curriculum to look that we can continue to maintain our standards into the next school year. We're still on track to make some recommendations here by the end of this early spring, I would say, for the board to consider adoption for next school year to improve our math. Also looking at a couple different intervention systems to help target those interventions for students that may need additional support, or as actually was mentioned in the finance discussion earlier, gifted and talented, some students who may need some extension or some enrichment, looking at some of those intervention possibilities as well. And then ongoing conversation around career and tech education and making sure we don't lose opportunities for students going forward. I've mentioned this a couple different times, but we're continuing to talk through with some neighboring districts and some Perkins grant dollars coming up, working with Justin Johnson as the registration guide gets prepared here for the spring to hopefully be able to add, continue to offer programs and maybe add some engineering design type programs back to our plan. So feeling good about that. When it comes to efficient and effective use of resources, how is the money going? Our annual audit is going well. We expect to get the audit report here in December, but so far the initial results are strong, showing that we are meeting or exceeding what our budget goals to end the fiscal year of fiscal 2025. Finance Committee got a little snippet of that on our last meeting, and the audit presentation will be coming up here in December. Truth in Taxation also happens December 18th. Keep in mind that's a 6 p.m. meeting because that'll be our Truth in Taxation meeting, and we'll discuss. Sarah will do her presentation, and we'll approve the levy, which is remaining largely unchanged from when you approved the preliminary in September. Also start looking at revised budgets, and that year never stops. Really from about December 1 to March 1, even April 1. I oftentimes will say that we live in 3 different fiscal years. The one we're still finishing, the one we're currently in, and the one we're planning for next year. And so that'll happen here coming up after the first of the year. Making great progress with labor negotiations. We're down to just our final few employees, one group to do and a couple individual employees to finish up, and then we'll be all up to date with our employment contracts, which is we're right on. We're actually ahead of track for what we see in most negotiation years. So I really appreciated that work with the team. And then I know it's something that has come up a few times in our conversations, but we've been discussing our technology in the district and looking at the infrastructure that we have for devices and learning tools and making sure that our staff and students have what they need. And so we are looking at some support to make sure that we can evaluate that infrastructure. That more to come on that coming after the first of the year, but we're gathering some information on what that could look like at the current time. All right. Just a reminder, Truth in Taxation, again, I just want to highlight it once more, December 18th, and we'll talk about the preliminary levy. Okay. Next one. All right, for our community engagement, we've had quite a bit going on in this area in the last few weeks. Our communication survey was successful. We talked a little bit about those results in previous weeks. We have made some changes. Our newsletter has gone out here, and we'll continue to maintain that in the next few months as we move into that routine. Working on making some website changes. And again, I encourage everyone in the community or board member or staff, when you see things that aren't lined up the way they need to be in the website, please let us know. It's hard to catch every page, but we did make some staffing changes in terms of assignment of duties We didn't add any staff. We assigned some duties to monitor the website a little more regularly. And we moved a button. So calendar button is now on the front page. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. But now there it is. So we've got that going. It seems so simple. But we don't know until we get the feedback. So working through that. Also, looking at the website and making sure we continue to organize things. Aptigee has some new, our website provider has some new data tools that we can look at to move pages around. And then, as I mentioned before, and many of you are aware of, we are launching our series on school finance, which was, we started our first session this afternoon, recorded and will be posted here in a timely manner so that the community can take a look at it if they so choose. Today, we spent a lot of time talking about how our schools funded in Minnesota. Future sessions, we'll talk more about budgets and then how do referendums work and that kind of thing. But for right now, it was all about where does the money come from? So really trying to engage our community. I did have a coffee with the superintendent. Would have been, last Saturday before I headed up to the football game, and had a couple folks stop by and say hello in that morning. And so it was, I consistently get good feedback that we do those. I don't always have a lot of people to talk to, but the folks that do want to talk, it's really an opportunity to build some relationships and share some conversation. So it's a good thing. Okay. And then obviously, one of our highest priorities is having safe and welcoming schools. And we're continuing our conversation on our facilities. The committee continues to meet and talk through how things are going. Thanksgiving is next week, so we won't have our regular November meeting, so we'll reschedule that shortly thereafter. I did have a meeting last week with Jeff Jensen and all of our building heads and maintenance staff to get some staff feedback around our grounds, how are our maintenance schedules made, how our schedules look, and we really got some good feedback from the team. Jeff and I had some great conversations around what we could do to continue to support those staff members, and usually the best way to do that is to ask them. And we had a great conversation with our team about that, and they provided some good feedback, both in the meeting and they've given us some thought. I've got some good emails in the last week or so from our team members that we can use to continue to improve our work in that area. At the end of the trimester here, our citizenship and our kindness programs, Character Strong, Thrively, the things we do at the various buildings with our connect times at our junior, senior high, continuing to help work to promote respect and positive behavior with our school communities. And then I think something we mentioned this spring, and I haven't really talked a lot about it since then because it actually was a financial barrier, but we're continuing to review our security cameras and our door entry systems to see how we can update the back end system of that. We had to make some decisions here as we moved into this fiscal year weren't able to get some things into the budget. We've applied for some grants. I think we found out that the original grant we did not get. Just got that email I think earlier this week, right? And so we'll be looking at how we continue to do that. Everything is operating and our buildings are safe and secure, but we need to be ahead of upgrading our systems. We can't let them get too far behind. So that's what we're continuing to look at in that area. So, as I mentioned, our priorities: academic excellence, fiscal responsibility, community partnership, and having safe environments. What we continue to do, so the end of trimester 1, we've had a good start of the school year, and we continue to work on those things. And I continue to appreciate Gamma to help me with my presentations. If you haven't used Gamma AI, this is what you get. It's pretty, I do the words, but it does the designs. So it makes me look a lot sharper than I probably could. So that's good. So, any questions?
I saw that ninth graders went on a field trip, Faribault.
Was it the career?
right?
Was it a career exploration opportunity? That
Yeah.
probably had
they
Riverland there.
I don't know, do you know?
Yeah, that's how they went to Fairwood
Okay,
for the career vocational program.
Yep.
okay, and can you tell a little bit about it, or?
Well, I only know from my child.
Well, that's
My ninth grader, he told me about it. Yeah, he said it was really interesting. He said there was a lot of businesses that he recognized, and that's pretty much all he said.
okay,
Yeah, we do a series of those throughout the course of the school year. They go over to Mankato for some. We had a career fair here. They go over the little things. So it's one of the. But you did can I add one more thing to my report that I forgot to mention?
sure.
Sure. So I do make sure we celebrate that this is American Education Week. And so you've got the flyer in front of you, and we've been blessed with lots of treats this week in all of our offices from various donors in the community, and we just want to make sure we say thank you to all of our staff who does the great work that they do every day for our students. And it wasn't on my slideshow, so I missed it down here. So I want to make sure I don't forget that, because that's a really important piece that we work with every day. So
All right.
it's fitting going into Thanksgiving, because we want to be grateful for the work that does the team that does our work every day. So,
All right. Thank you. Anything else for Eric? Sarah?
All right. I'll start my report looking at our monthly revenue financial update. All right. And just a couple of things to point out on this report. I wanted to highlight that our property tax line and also our debt redemption fund revenue line show higher percentages of revenue compared to budget for October. That is currently just a timing difference. Receiving a property tax payment on October 31st versus like November 5th of prior years. Shifts and increases those percentages. So they should realign themselves come the November report. Again, just a reminder that our federal aid line, even though it's consistently showing zero with prior years, is simply because as we close out last year's financial audit and close out federal reports, we do all of that before we start drawing down federal funds for the current 25-26 year. So again, you usually see activity in that category in November or sometimes even December. And then one other thing I wanted to highlight on this report is the custodian fund line. That custodian fund, again, is where we previously held funds as the fiscal host for the Waseca County Collaborative for Families. And that fiscal host arrangement changed July 1st and shifted to Min Prairie. Those historical trend comparisons are a little bit skewed just because we don't have that large fiscal host arrangement in our 25-26 budget or in our revenue or expenditure accounts. On the expense report, everything looked very well in line on all of our expenditure lines, again, with the exception of that custodial fund line, showing high on the expense side for that transfer of the fiscal dollars to Min Prairie as a fiscal host, the new fiscal host for Waseca County Collaborative for Families. Any questions on the financial report? Okay, we can shift to the enrollment report. As you can see in November, our enrollment did decrease by about 25 students. This is consistent with a decline in enrollment that we see traditionally every year. It is largely represented by our migrant students leaving the community. They attend at the beginning of the school year, but as that season wraps up, they leave the district and generally head out of state. It's something that we'll continue to monitor, but it is something that we had included in some of our budget discussions for future.
Okay. Any questions for Sarah? All right. We'll keep moving along then. Thank you. Committee board member reports. Mr. Shepherd, you want to start us off, please?
Sure. I was part of a policy committee meeting and we reviewed a few policies that were going to come up for approval here later, but there were no significant changes, but had some good discussions on them. Also had a finance committee meeting, which was mainly focused around details around the audit and what it's finding and some positive results there. So that was good.
Okay.
And that's what I got.
Thank you. Scott?
He covered the finance, and that was the only one that I had.
Okay.
We had a policy meeting and Grant talked about that, and we'll cover those. We also had professional growth and development on the 17th, and we talked about the math piloting programs that we're working on, teacher training. Dr. McGuire always asks the teachers if they're satisfied with the previous monthly training they had and so on. So that was it.
Okay, thanks. And Charlie?
I've been through the principal negotiations. We just preliminary started that. And nothing has been decided there. I think that was it. I think that's the only one I've been. Oh, I know that I went to the the insurance meeting here a couple of weeks ago. So there, somebody came in from the insurance company and talked about the insurance, the various policies that are available. It was only about a dozen people there, so evidently everybody had pretty much made up their minds what program they were going to go on. But it was interesting, and I picked up a couple things there that I learned about. So, but I think that's it for me. So,
Okay.
I don't think I had any.
Okay, Melissa?
I had the finance meeting and that's been covered.
Okay. Down to you, Violet.
It's a busy upcoming week. The fall play is this weekend. I know they've put a lot of work into that, so that's exciting. After Thanksgiving break is the food drive, the Student Council annual food drive is coming up. Also this weekend is the Blue Jay Blast on Saturday. And don't fret, you have time to go to the pancake breakfast in the morning, head to the football game, and be back in time for the live auction. So, you've got time. Also, at the start of our winter season comes not only winter sports, but also jazz band and jazz choir. Both are starting up soon. And that is all I got.
Okay, you want to keep going with positive comments, recognitions, thank yous?
I mean, the football coaches have been at it for almost 6 months at this point. So I think that deserves a shout out. Players, obviously, too. That good stuff.
Okay, well, thank you. Alyssa?
I've got a few things, but I'll try to keep them short. Just want to give the Blue Jay Blast Planning Committee a round of applause for really pivoting and making it work, because they spent a lot of hours planning that and they really had to change things up. So I'm sure a lot of community members appreciate those changes to be able to make it to both places. All the businesses in town that are supporting the Blue Jays is really fun to see. I saw that, I think it's the cheer girls and the art students that are downtown painting windows all over. So downtown looks real nice. And then Matthew Petzinger for sponsoring the bus going up. And I think it's Katie Gonzalez is doing fat heads for the seniors. I think actually for all of the players. Yeah. All of the football players, I think. She's doing fat heads for all of them on Saturday. So lots of community support, and it's appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. Darren?
Yeah, the Blue Jay Blast has been covered. We received the new wrestling mat that was funded by the Waseca Boosters and the Youth Wrestling Club. So they partnered up on that. That showed up. It's really nice, and appreciate that for these kids to have. And yeah, let's go Blue Jays.
Okay, Charlie?
yeah, I'd like to talk about the music program. They had the indoor marching band concert here a couple weeks ago. Mr. Lawrence put that together. Very nice performance. And then choir, I believe her name is Kleinbrink. Is that how we pronounce it? The kids call her Mrs. K. But anyhow, at the concert here a few weeks ago, both choirs performed, and I believe it was in the last choir was performing, and Mrs. Kleinberg or Mrs. K was out there directing, and all of a sudden a student must have fainted or something. She rushes over, and the kids to take care of this student. Everybody else kept going. Mrs. Schultz was out there playing the piano on this hand and directing with the other one. And then Dr. Shimmick and Mr. Kopeski come up behind, and they took care of the student who was in distress. And Mrs. Kleinbrink came back and started directing her choir again, and didn't miss a beat. Did not miss a beat. The student that was singing, he just kept right on going. So that was quite a performance that night for sure. So. But they really did quite well. And Melissa Schultz, I can't say enough about her playing. Her fingers are just flying over that piano, so it's wonderful. So yeah.
All right. Well, I want to piggyback on something you said. The indoor, want to send a big thank you out to Devin Lawrence and his staff and all the kids that are in the band and families and parents that help with that. 50 years we've been doing that. And you kind of stop and think in today's world to be doing something like that and still going with it after 50 years, I think is quite an accomplishment. You know, the kids come and go, band directors come and go, but for 50 years, we've still had the indoors. So thanks to all the people, kids, whatever, families that were involved in that.
A nice tribute to Mr. Default.
Yeah, it all started with Richard Default 50 years ago. So thanks to everybody there. Grant.
Most of the stuff has already been said. I just want to reiterate too the thank you for the community and all the support they give. The Blue Jay Blast is a great way that is shown, but I think we live in such a community that has such support for our schools, and that really feeds and helps it immeasurably. So thank you to the community for all the support they give. Thank you to the teachers. They get recognized, but American Education Week is another great time to do that, for all the work they do every day to teach the students. And what Violet said, come and see the play this week. You won't be disappointed.
Scott.
All right. So first of all, I want to thank Eric and Sarah for the Finance 101. I think that's an important thing for our community to see and to understand, because it is a complex thing that we have to work around. Secondly, the fall play, they are only doing it Friday and Sunday, so make sure you get out there. And then I thought it was pretty cool. I have a scout that is pretty pumped that she's gotten to go to both, or she gets to go to the football game this Saturday, and she also went last Saturday with the jazz band, so that was kind of cool. And they included them in the indoor also, so that was pretty cool. She's pretty pumped that she gets to participate in that stuff. So that's all I got.
All right. In addition to everything else that's already been said, just congratulations to the 23 students who were inducted into the Minnesota Honor Society earlier this month. It's high academic standards, and they did well, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll move on to action items. We only have 3 tonight. Motion for item A.
A motion for approve acceptance to receive gifts and donations.
Okay. You want to mention what those both are right there?
Looks like there's 6,972 for a new wrestling mat and 1,897 in materials and labor to improve the school forest area from Lens Lawn Care.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve item A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Call.
Oh, roll call. Sorry.
Alyssa Bowers,
Yes.
Darren Kruger,
Yes.
Charlie Creed,
Yes.
Ann Hargett,
Yes.
Scott Demmel,
Yes.
Grant Shepherd,
Yes.
Dave Dunn.
Yes. Okay. Motion for item B.
I'll make a motion to approve the staff sharing agreement with Team Academy.
Second.
Okay. Anything there? No. Okay. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And motion for item C.
I'll make a motion. We approve the reviewed policies that were reviewed. I think these are an annual renewals or annual reviews that we do. 413 harassment and violence, 415 mandated reporting of maltreatment of vulnerable adults, 506 student discipline, and 514 bullying prohibition.
Okay. Any discussion? Eric, do you have any?
Well, didn't we have a second there from
Oh,
your second?
I was going to. Yeah.
Okay.
okay. All right.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
No, as Grant said, these are annual reviews, and fortunately, we have a great school district with fantastic students and staff, but having policies in place to handle things when they don't go the way you want is really important. And so thanks for the team for looking at those every year.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next work session, December the 4th. And then our next regular meeting will be on the 20th of December, right before
Sorry,
Christmas.
it should be the 18th. Sorry if there's a typo on yours. Should be December 18th is the next meeting. So
Oh,
sorry
okay.
for that typo. Unless you want to come on Saturday, and I probably don't. So,
Oh, I could. Can you fit that in between the football game and the blast and the
right,
play?
let's see.
All right. Motion, well, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks, everybody.